All right, let's dive into a story about a simple promise, one that gets broken and throws us right into the deep end of contract law. It gets surprisingly complicated.
So, think about this. What can you really do when a promise gets broken? I mean, we've all been there, right? It's infuriating. But what if that promise isn't just a casual thing? What if it's a formal contract? What are your options then? We're going to unpack that with a really interesting story.
Okay, so our story kicks off with a woman named Queenie. And Queenie is, well, she's a society matron. She's looking for something really special to, capture her essence. And to get this portrait done, she goes to Tony. Now, Tony isn't just any artist. She's well-known, famous even, for her incredible talent. She's the kind of artist people line up for because her work is totally unique.
So they hammer out the details. It's pretty straightforward. Tony's going to paint Queenie's portrait in oil. They'll meet up for 6 sittings on 6 Wednesdays in a row, and the whole thing will be done and dusted within 12 weeks. Simple, clear contract. Seems easy enough. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, famous last words, right? Because after just one sitting, the whole deal just collapses. Tony backs out. She breaks her promise.
Now, Tony's reason? She says Queenie is just too difficult to work with. But here's the thing. Legally speaking, that doesn't really fly. That's not a valid excuse to just walk away. It is, plain and simple, a breach of contract.
Okay, so Queenie is left high and dry. The contract's been broken, so what happens now? What does the law have to say about this? More importantly, what does Queenie want?
And this is a really key point. Queenie doesn't just want a refund. No, she wants the portrait. She wants that one-of-a-kind piece of art from this specific, famous artist that she was promised.
This brings us to a really cool legal idea called specific performance. It's basically when a court steps in and says, nope, you don't get to just pay your way out of this. You have to do the exact thing you promised to do. So in this case, it would mean a court ordering Tony to actually finish the painting.
So Queenie is standing at a fork in the road, legally speaking. Path 1 is specific performance, getting the actual portrait. Path 2 is suing for damages, getting money as compensation instead. And like we said, she's all in on Path 1. She wants the art, not just a check.
But that leads to a huge question, doesn't it? Can a court really force an artist to paint? Can you legally compel someone to create art against their will? I mean, think about that. Should the law even be getting involved in something so personal?
And the answer, from a legal standpoint, is a resounding no. There's this really old, really important legal rule that says courts will not order specific performance for something called personal service. And for Queenie, this is a massive, massive roadblock.
So why? Why does this rule exist? Well, there are a few really good reasons. For one, we're talking about unique skills and talents here. You can't just swap Tony out for another artist and get the same thing. Plus, these things rely on a personal, working relationship. And that relationship, it's toast. How could a judge possibly stand over Tony's shoulder and make sure she's painting a good portrait? And you can see how this applies elsewhere, right? Could you force your favorite singer to perform at your party? Or a world-famous chef to cook you dinner? The answer is no. At its core, contract law is really built for commercial transactions, not for forcing creative partnerships.
Okay, so specific performance is off the table. Forcing Tony to paint just isn't going to happen. So Queenie has to go to plan B, get some money instead. She can sue for damages, right? Seems like the obvious next step.
So what are damages exactly? The whole point is to compensate the person who was wronged. In this case, Queenie. The law tries to put her back in the financial spot she would have been in if Tony had just finished the painting. It's all about making up for the loss with money.
But, and this is another huge but, here comes the next big hurdle for Queenie. To get that money, she has to prove she suffered a financial loss. So let's think about it. What money did Queenie actually lose here?
I mean, her real losses are obvious. She's got hurt feelings, she's incredibly disappointed, she's lost out on getting this amazing, one-of-a-kind portrait, the experience is gone. These are totally real things. But can you stick a dollar sign on disappointment?
And as far as the law is concerned, the answer is a cold, hard 0. Her demonstrated financial loss is nothing. Contract law, you see, isn't there to patch up hurt feelings. It's there to compensate for losses you can actually count, things with a clear price tag.
So where does that leave Queenie? It's a pretty bleak picture.
Even though everyone agrees the contract was broken, the two main tools the law offers, forcing the performance or paying for the loss, neither one really helps her at all.
And that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating. It leaves us with this big, lingering question. Queenie's loss was all about emotion, about expectation, about sentiment. So it makes you wonder, what should a contract really protect? Is it just about the money? Just about the wallet? Or should it have something to say about protecting our feelings too?